ordinary citizens, or so they say. But there's plenty money for the PNM 4Fs: family, friends, financiers, and forests. And for the useless minister. And for the useless minister Sinanan to buy land in Europe, and for PNM ministers' wives to receive million-dollar contracts in the health sector. There's money to drink expensive champagne and send up roaming bills. Up till now, not one plan, not one program to create jobs for you, the taxpayers of this country. This Palancin Prime Minister brought back property tax, put back VAT on food items. Wages are fixed whilst food prices are going up, up, up. Tell us, Prime Minister, how are we to survive if we don't have any work or opportunity to work? My brothers and sisters, we are in a crisis. If you are fed up and ready for change, show me your voting finger. Remember, there is only one leader, there is only one party, and that is the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the United National Congress. Long live the UNC. I thank you.
The headlines reflect the need for change. The Rowley government is killing our economy, and so too are the criminals who use knives, invade our sanctuaries and our workplaces. Dr. Rowley does not care about the weak and the poor. He only cares about his steps on the dance floor.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it till you try to do that conga. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it till you try to do that conga. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it till you try to do that conga. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it till you try to do that conga.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition and future Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Dr. Bissessar, Members of Parliament, Senators, members of the head table, La Hokita Talparo War Room, you're in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, tonight I thank you for coming out again for your party. It is good to be on the corridor. You know, only yesterday we had some executive elections, and I'm sure our political leader will talk about that. And some of them were highly and hotly contested. Today, of course, we are Team UNC and proud. Unlike our opponents in the PNM, who want to have constituency elections, but I'm told they can't have those elections because the quorum is 20, based on the Constitution. And they have had to change that quorum to 10 or 12 because in order to keep their elections. It tells you that even the people in the PNM doesn't want to be associated with the Balizé bunch. This UNC party is it. Lately, you know, it has been reported that when the PNM members go to Balizé House, it has a Dwen there who appears to have eaten the snake. And the Dwen's function is to belittle and demean PNM members and supporters. So you would have read Imbe Bof Garcia. The reported story went on to inform that Garcia was speaking to the media and Imbe told him, "Go outside." He just didn't say, "Boy, don't talk on my time." And just yesterday, you would have read in the Express where Professor Kojo wrote an article, and he started by saying Paul Leacock wept bitter tears. Paul Leacock, incidentally, is the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation. And in that article of yesterday, the Dwen again, he said Imbe slammed the man dared to ask a question about serving his constituents, his burgesses. He said Imbe slammed him mercilessly to the ground, I quote. And then Keith Rowley, that's the Prime Minister, the political leader, finished off the job remorselessly. If nothing else, this gives some insight into the Balizé House of Horrors. You're hearing in that House of Horrors, get out, get out. What Leacock doing inside of there crying? Find your spine and get out. It is also reported in Professor Kojo's article that the PNM operations officer, one Miss Irene Hines, who is what they call a stalwart, she told Leacock, she said, "Boy," she said, "don't worry, boy. One day for them, one day for we." That's a direct quote. I commend these words of consolation by Miss Hines to the entire country. One day for them, the PNM, and one day for we. These insights into their disrespect and total disregard of who they consider their own explains the mentality that is governing this country. If you think they're against you, think about how they're against how Imbe could buff up Garcia. It is worse than that. You read again on the papers where D.L. Singh, the missing member of Parliament for St. Joseph, told that, I think he gave a message, he gave this guy, Brigadier Ansel Antoine, he told him, go and tell somebody something, and when he saw Antoine was moving fast enough, he said, go and take your seat. He just didn't say, boy. This man is supposed to be a brigadier. He reduced the brigadier to Colonel Saunders. 2 pieces and a fries, please. This is a brigadier, acting like Colonel Saunders. I tell those young people, get up off your knees. The house at the valley is here telling you, get out, get out. The Dwen is in charge. He tells you, don't talk on my time. He tells you when to eat. He said who go eat and when they go eat. Because you see this member of Parliament of St. Joseph running his mouth up and down talking about he has drugs, free drugs for the immigrants, for communicable diseases. All this time, he didn't have those drugs for this 9-year-old child who died at Mount Hope. Went in ill, yes, but they didn't go in ill for AIDS. But they died because of AIDS under Terence D.L. Singh's watch. Do you think that child would have been alive today if Terence D.L. Singh would have shut his mouth and do his job and would have opened the children's hospital? Do you think that child would have been alive today? You know, people sitting down in Mount Hope, not too far from here, for 72 hours on the corridor. And I've been told that the CEO of that institution, he runs party group number 10 for the PNM, has no interest in the job of health, good health for our people. So, Terence does not care about the widespread suffering in the constituency that voted him into office. Young men sitting on the side of the road, as we walked, you saw them just staring into space, telling us, what do they tell us? They don't ask you for money, they ask you for jobs. They say we have no jobs. Suzette, she's there busy, she works at the market in San Juan. She's there building her retaining wall. She said, I've spent $20,000, I have no more. The rains are coming. Marlon has a degree, and he has no job. His last continuous job was in December of 2015 when his contract ended, and there ended his life. But now Marlon understands the PNM have no respect for their own. You expect them to have respect for you? What did Irene Hines say? He said today for them, she said today for them, and tomorrow for? That is what she said. You understand? Poor Natasha Charles fell into my arms weeping. She has twin children, twin girls. Her husband was killed. Can you imagine the trauma? Naresh Charles saying, oh God, rain wetting me in the house. Every time it rains, it wets me. The house is old. Do you think Terence Yeltsin cares about that? You think he cares about that? But tonight we say, woe to the down-presser man. You will eat the bread of sorrow. Tonight we tell Terence that. You know that the Children's Hospital should have been functional since December of 2015. Had Kamla Prasad Bisesa been voted back into office. Last week I was told the minister was busy meeting with the RHAs, telling them where to take out the new equipment. Well, it was new then. But now those equipment, they're there in the heat and in the dust. And he's saying move them out and put them into the various RHAs. He is still not concerned about opening that hospital. But don't bother with them. All they are concerned about, and they're saying that they are going to change the name. Now all they are concerned about is trivia, frivolities, slogans, and announcements. But when Kamla Prasad Bisesa is against Prime Minister, we just might name the hospital Kamla Prasad Bisesa Hospital for Children. Because my name is that. Yes. A hospital of compassion, hospital of caring, and hospital for the people. I promise you, Trinidad and Tobago, it's been a long time coming, but a change is going to come. A change is going to come. Last week, Senator Amin noted in a contribution, in our Senator Amin that is, in the Senate, jobs for Tobagonians are under threat because employers will tap into Venezuelan cheap labor who require no national health insurance. All right, she said, I warn Trinidad and Tobago that this measure has serious consequences. Now, Professor Kojo again, you see, I take the PNM to talk truth to power. He said today, that's yesterday, read his article. He said today black people are caught up in triple jeopardy. The Venezuelans, the new boys on the block, are underpricing black workers. The competition is so fierce that some merchants are advertising their jobs in Spanish in local newspapers. English speakers need not apply. It means you are not to apply. You, the people, are not to apply. So tonight, I say to those local companies whose owners have become extremely wealthy from the sweat and sacrifice of our people, who over the years worked and took their minimum wages. Today, you live in the most prestigious addresses. You drive the nicest cars. You travel first class. You're belly lapping over your pants and your skirt. And now you have the Prime Minister to support you, where he openly brings in a workforce to compete with our citizens. I say to these owners of capital, escribe tu menú in Espanol. That's my schoolgirl Spanish. Escribe tu menú in Espanol. Write your menu in Spanish. You like a damn menu in Spanish. We're not buying. We're not buying. We are not buying from you. We are not buying. Why should we buy from you? They put you want Spanish to work? Spanish goodbye. I say that tonight. In this country, we only buy where we feel welcome. No hablamos in Espanol. We don't speak Spanish. If our people are not good enough, even for the minimum wage you're paying, why should they spend their little money to buy your thing? Tonight, I tell you, the registration of Venezuelan has nothing to do with compassion. We know Rauliano Hart. For Christmas, he was there Carnival Sunday. I mean, where was he? He did the cut into a carnival. Him and his fanboy. He telling us he going to California to see if he had a heart. So where compassion? How does he have compassion? It had nothing to do with compassion. It had to do with economics. Most likely, his friends would have told him they were understaffed because Trinidadians and Tobagonians only want handouts and they don't want to work. You know the stereotype that they put there? Nothing for you. Wean yourself off the treasury. But when his friends want something, he moves heaven and earth. He just like FedEx, he delivers overnight. Overnight. You get it? He just said, he don't care. He don't care what he had to do. I don't care if you get there if you can. He gonna get it for you. You understand? So you see, there's a fella who does tell, he does just tell the people and them, pull another string and I'll close Petrotrin. I'm your puppet. That is what he's there for. He's not there for you. He's there for them. Nothing for you. When a man, your prime minister, This poor man, supposedly, he started poor, you see. You understand? And he reached in the office of Prime Minister. He should have empathy. He took away the jobs from Petrotrin. His man, Friday, the general in Petrotrin, they say all the jobs must go. If any chairman for Kamla Prasad Bisesa had said that, he go on the next morning. As a matter of fact, he go on the night. Because he can't talk to people so. He can't talk to the people that Trinidad and Tobago so. You understand? But with Rowley, once you're crushing people, once you're crushing them under, it's okay with him. It's okay. But what Irene Hines say, today for you, tomorrow for we. Thank you, Irene Hines. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hear you looking high and low. It is sucking sorrow, wondering who leak, what they're getting on with. But nobody will leak it. Is that they're fed up with him. And even the PNM saying, Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Even the PNM saying that it is time. Your time is up. You have outstayed your welcome. You're cussing off people. You're buffing off people. Nobody wants you no more. You go and habla español. Adios, amigos. Go. Go. Pack your bag. Go. Every sector in this country in total chaos. Total chaos. How can a man take away minimum wage from poor people? What kind of man is that? What kind of man is that? And he got bring in a workforce and sell them cheaply. Take out, say, don't pay the NS. So if it is, you go in the market, and you see potato here for $10 a pound, and you see it over there for $9 a pound. Which one will you buy? The cheaper one. So he deliberately undercuts the price of labor, because a key factor of production is labor. So when you put that in, the price of it matters. So when you put the cost cheaper, do you expect them to take an English-speaking citizen of Trinidad and Tobago? No. To do the same job? Not at all. All right? So I can assure you, if you are no longer welcome in the house of horrors called Balisay House, that you're crying like a baby like Paul Leacock, I assure you in this house that it's not about trying to get crumbs from the table. In this house, you build your own table. Kamla Prasad Bisesa said, choose your table or build your own table. Do you believe the founder of the PNM, Dr. Eric Williams, should have behaved like Rowley? This is a UNC platform, but facts are stubborn things. Because when he saw poor people, he created youth. Yes, we didn't know how it would end up. He didn't know. But at least he did something for them. He said, that is the father of the founding member of the party. He said, they told me not to go to John John because John John had too much bad John. But now that I come to John John, he said, now that I come to John John, all I see is poor John. I ain't see no bad John. I only see poor John. I see people who need help. And even Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, what he did, he created CPEP to help the poor. And well, you know, Kamla Prasad Bisesa to do all of them. She created a whole ministry of the people. Stand up for your leader. Stand up for Prasad Bisesa. Stand up for your leader. She created a ministry of the people. So, as I said, all right, tell me what Rowley see. Right in front of his eyes are people under so much pressure, crumbling under the weight of life's hardship, working for minimum wage, and he takes action and puts in place policies which will ensure that these jobs are no longer available to Trinidad and Tobago citizens. But even worse, he has ensured that owners of capital have access to a cheaper workforce with his approval, and they can now access that cheaper labor. So, what therefore is the motivation to hire a person from Sealots, from Beetham, from John John? Because already you know, if you put John John on an application form, they're hiring you. And worse now, if you put in an application form in English, they don't want you. Your application form has to be in Spanish for them to hire you. So even the minimum wage for locals, they are going to drive it down because supply and demand. Because what the owners of capital will tell you, them working for that, And if you don't want to work for that, you ain't going to eat. That is what they're going to tell you. But tonight I tell you, we are going to march for equal rights and justice in this country. Equal rights
and equal rights and justice.
I want to make a point. I want to make a point. So you see, when they're trying to tie us up, the Minister of National Security say, let us talk about xenophobia. No, I want to talk about discrimination. Discrimination against my people, against the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because when you take the price of labor and you drive it down for your friends so them could save money and get bigger and fatter, it tells me it's not about xenophobia. It's about discrimination against the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk about that. So people, we had a lot to talk about the measures put in place by the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bissessa, because she saw an issue with urban youths. She commissioned a study led by Professor Selwyn Ryan at the time. Over 400 pages, engages youths at risk. That's what she did, to treat with the problem from the base, from the core. You know, that's how we started Hope for Life in all of these areas. So people, tonight, Kamla Prasad Bissessa has nothing to prove. She has nothing to prove. And in addition, we are comforted, and I thank God for Irene Hines and her words of solace, because she said one day for them and one day for we. One day for we. Thank you. Thank you. The message came. So Rowley could swing low. He could sing Sweet Chariot. We know there's an election coming for to take him home, to take him home. The only leader to unite us, the only leader with a plan, the determination to work, the only leader with love and compassion in her heart and determination for the people is Kamla Prasad Bissessa. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters.
My UNC brothers and sisters of St. Joseph constituency and environ, good evening. Are you fed up of the PNM? Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am changing the name People's National Movement. Do you want to know what it is? Rowley, please, no more. We can't take any more of this failing PNM government. Rowley wants to give the US government an F for talking the truth about his failure to deal with trafficking of human beings. Well, the PNM government deserves a capital F because they are the biggest failure to govern this country. Hence, I am elated to have been granted the privilege of introducing a person who is very special to everyone gathered here. A very strong woman, by her many accomplishments, has paved the way for thousands of young people in this country. This individual is very devoted, compassionate, selfless, nurturing, loving, well-achieved, a history maker, a strong and fierce leader that only desires the best of the country and its people without bias towards every creed, color, and race. She is the only leader we can say ever had the young people of the nation at the front burner of her agenda and heart. The only leader who has acted, never forsaken, but always thinking about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. This woman went into office as Trinidad and Tobago 7th and first ever female Prime Minister. Not once has she lost compassion for humanity, still seeking the best interests of her country and its people. Battered but never surrendered, willing to regain her rightful position as leader for the future government. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as I now formally introduce the Senior Council, Leader of the Opposition, our political leader, and soon to be Trinidad and Tobago 2020 second female Prime Minister, the Honorable Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar.
Very much. Thank you very much. Here in St. Joseph, UNC family, good evening to all of you. You know, I saw over the couple of days we had some holidays. And one of those days was Labor Day. And some person called me a wolf. Well, I taken that because I have worse names you can call a person. Let's start from there. But there's a famous novelist, his name is Rudyard Kipling. And he wrote a book. And in that book, he had something very important to say, which I think will help us. He said, the strength of the leader comes from the pack. The strength of the leader comes from you. And the strength of the pack comes from the wolf, the leader. So my strength comes from you. And that strength you give me, I give back to you for us to fight this wicked PNM government. And there's another famous story from a Native American tribe, the Cherokee. And you want to go home, you have technology, you Google it, you could Google it now. The Cherokee story about the two wolves. And here it is, the elder is telling the young child about the two wolves that is in each person. And there is a wolf that is filled of hate and of anger and of envy and of destruction. And there's another wolf inside us, which is the wolf of compassion, which is the wolf with hope, which is a wolf with vision. Today I say I am that wolf that is inside of me. And we must never ever let the detractors filled with hate and envy and pain, they must never ever take away the love we have for each other and the hope and the vision we share for a better Trinidad and Tobago. Together, we aspire, and together we will achieve. So forget these detractors. I say, get them behind me, Satan. Get Satan behind me. Move these detractors out. Move them away. And let us concentrate on creating a better, greater Trinidad and Tobago. And tonight here in St. Joseph, I can feel your energy. I can see your energy. And I am totally energized. This energy is a movement, uniting everyone, every creed and every race into one voice. It is a one corridor movement. We are one family. We are one community. We are one people. And we are one nation in God's eyes. And the voices of the people are saying what you are saying. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. The voices are saying it's time to stop the Dwen from putting more and more and more tax upon the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is time, we are saying, voices are saying, the teams walk the St. Joseph constituency, you walk in your own, and you hear what people are saying, and you can hear the pain and the cries amongst the ordinary people of Trinidad and Tobago. And whilst that is happening, we have a prime minister who wants to buff up the United States. You ever see anything like that? Prime Minister of Little Trinidad and Tobago. He gets so big, he wants to buff up Trump. He wants to buff up Trump. Well, we'll find out who is the bigger Trump soon to come. Because you see, they did it before. Their foreign policy is totally zilch. Their diplomacy in dealing with other nations gone. You remember that Prime Minister came to our parliament recently and he buffed up the ambassador to the United States. You all remember that? In the parliament, you know, the US ambassador in Trinidad, this Prime Minister of ours, buffed up the US ambassador. Well, that wasn't bad enough. I told them they need to be very careful because the US is our largest trading partner. Largest trading partner, very important to the economy and the well-being of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And Madam WPC, Woman Police Constable Camille, in the parliament, when we were there objecting to the manner in which Mr. Rowley was behaving, Camille say, so what? What Trump could do we? What Trump could do we? Well, let me tell you what Trump could do you and do Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you. Because they don't have a clue or they just don't care. There is a Caribbean Basin Initiative program that we have with the US to allow for the trading, to allow certain exemptions and so on, so our goods can be sold there in the US. We have certain preferential treatments under that Caribbean Basin program. And that has to come up for renewal in the Congress of the United States of America next year. You wonder what Trump could do you? Trump has the power to determine whether that program will continue for the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That is what Trump could do you. Why don't you get your sleeping Minister Moses of Foreign Affairs to brief you and tell you what is happening? You know, when that person speaks, no disrespect, but you really can't even understand a word Moses says. You can't understand a word he says, but at least get something from the foreign ministry as a brief. And then how could you embarrass yourself and our country again? When this report came out on human trafficking, the Prime Minister went and started to talk about we did the best we could do, buffing up the US, saying they worse than us in treatment of migrants. Mr. Rowley, sir, the report was about human trafficking. It was about human trafficking, showing where we were weak. It was not about buffing up how you were treating Venezuelans or what you were doing and not doing for Venezuelans. Like they didn't even read the report, but so quick to run out there and behave like Wajang and Rottweiler. Always, always shouting. The late Mr. Manin, may his soul rest in peace, he was right when he described this person, this Mr. Rowley, Wajang, Rottweiler. Every time the man speaks, he's shouting at someone. And then the whole cabinet going down to Chaguanas to cut a ribbon to do what? Open a road. And they said, we're not electioneering, you know. Well, let me tell you something. That project was initiated under the government that I led, the partnership government. As Jalen told us once, Jalen said, listen, the partnership, we will cut ribbon when the project ends. Yes, because we completed a project. And she told us they're cutting ribbon now to start a project because they have not finished a project. So they finally get a finished project. And the whole cabinet, toot bagay, going down to Shagonas, trying to fool people to say they're not political. What were you doing there? What a whole cabinet gone down there to do? You all have no work to do? You have no ministry to run? You're going to hold the ribbon for this Mr. Rowley to cut it. Shameless partnership project started by the UNC. So, we have seen a government out of control, a government in free fall, doesn't know A from Z. Jalen shared some examples for you tonight. They just don't have a clue or they don't care. That's all we can surmise. We can't determine how they could be so clueless and useless. So as our young speaker here talked about the F's, the 4 F's. The friends, AV fake oil, bestie, best friend. The friends, the financiers, AV fake oil and the other financiers benefited from the treasury. Yes? We had a 3rd F, the friends, the financiers. You really want me to get to Paris tonight? You really want me to talk about Paris tonight? You know, when I was growing up, there used to be a really popular TV show. In those days, we only had one TV station, TTT, and I think it was we had black and white TV and so on, right? You see how far we've come with technology. Now you have TV in front of you in your little phone. You have the whole world in your hand. So we had this TV, and everybody will gather, the whole family to watch this show. It was called The $1 Million Man. Yes? People who are young like me will remember it. The $1 Million Man. And, well, today we have the other F. The $23 million man and counting. And he comes into Parliament and he talks about lawyers creating an industry and milking the treasury. Why? Because they're winning their cases. He calls it the lawyer an industry to use the Freedom of Information Act and win cases. Well, first of all, the courts determine who wins, yeah? Which party wins. And the courts determine the costs that is to be awarded. And he talks about this lawyer industry. Well, I saw the Law Association, and I commend them for it, came out against the titular head of the bar of the lawyers. A.G. Farris is the titular head of the bar. And the Law Association condemned the Attorney General for attacking lawyers. But that's not the point I want to make. He talks about this industry. I think he's just jealous of them fellas. It's pure envy, because I don't think a man ever win a case in his life. Well, I tell you tonight, the only industry that this government has created is a government rental industry with the $23 million man. And that's only one property. Properties rented by the government from the Farris clan include on St. Vincent Street, include Agra Street, and I have several in here. We could continue counting. It's many, many, many properties. And they're so shameless that if they see somebody else have a house, they vex. Nobody must have house, only them. They like to put up people's house in the papers, yeah? And blame Kamala. Always blame Kamala. Always blame Kamala. Well, I tell you, Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. And yes, thank you very much, blame Kamala for that. Rowley must go. We must make sure he goes. Tonight, I want to talk on another matter. Another matter, which is a matter that is serious concern for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We are talking about the Venezuelans. I have nothing against them. I don't think anybody here has anything against them. But right is right. As the pundit told us tonight, the way they have proceeded with that whole process, that can't be right. It cannot be right. And what the government has done, on the 24th of May of this year, a few days before the registration exercise, they published something called immigration regulations. So they are amending the existing immigration regulations. And just only a few days ago it was brought to our attention because of the way the law is framed. They had to lay it in the parliament, and that's the only way we were able to find out. They published it in the Gazette, and of course, unless you're spending your life reading Gazettes every day, it is of limited circulation. You get it on your phone, on a website, and so on. And they published it on the 24th of May. And what these regulations do is that they take effect immediately they are published in the Gazette. So they took effect since the 24th of May of this year. And a few days later, what's happening? Registration of the Venezuelans. But the registration has been done pursuant to or following upon those amended regulations, yes? Nobody knew that. Did any of you know that? They changed the immigration regulations. Did you know that? They changed it in order to do what they did to register the Venezuelans. Now, we in the parliament have an opportunity. We have 40 days from the date of the publication of the regulations to annul it, to come to parliament to annul it. But apart from doing that, which we have done, we filed a motion to negative, do away with those regulations. They have the majority. Only a simple majority is needed for them to pass these new regulations. So let me tell you why it is cause for serious concern, and we must all raise our voices because they will vote in the parliament with a simple majority. In the same way they vote in the parliament with a simple majority to give themselves obscene pension hikes, increases in their pensions. Shameless people. People in this country getting $3,000 pension, NIS pension. Thousands of other people have lost their jobs and no pension to come, no salary to come. And these shameless people vote in that parliament to raise their pensions. The president is going to get $1.4 million in pension in the first year. And every year after that. You come down to what they did, they changed it. I'll come back to the immigration regulations. I just have to say this. We come back to what they did. They changed the definition of the word salary to include housing allowance. So what you do now when you're computing the salary, they take the housing allowance and add it to what was the salary, so you have a bigger amount. And that is what they'll work the pensions on. I think Kevin has a breakdown. Kevin, do you have the, can you put it on the screen, please? Okay, these guys, Faris, Stewart, Shamfa, remember her? We in charge now. Dennis Moses, Kazim Hussein, Gatsby Dolly, Anthony Garcia, Randall Mitchell, Edmund Dillon, Jennifer Baptiste Primus, Robert LeHunt, Cherry Ann Critchlow, Clarence Rambat, Rohan Sindon, based on their salary and service, because they would have only had 5 years, their gratuity would have been $492,360. With the increases they gave themselves, now gone to $640,000. For Colin Imbert, can you see that? Colin Imbert, you know, in the parliament, I told him I've never seen you so happy. After they passed it, he said, I've been trying to do this for 10 years. This is what he gave himself. Gratuity would have been 1.477 million per year. Now is 1.9 million per year, which is almost 2 million. The other guy I'm seeing there is, who is he? I think he's the missing MP for St. Joseph. Gratuity before would have been 647, 945. Gratuity now 843,134. They gave themselves these obscene increases in the face of pressure and pain amongst the ordinary people of Trinidad and Tobago, and they are happy with that. So I'm saying, in the same way they passed this, even though we kept saying no, 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 no. One guy said yes, by the way, from our side. But that's okay, he will be fine. Everybody has their own mind and sense, that's all right. But we said no, and no, and no. And in the same way, with their votes alone, they passed these obscene pension increases. So on the one hand, it looks like they feel they're going on loss. So they run and do this thing. What was so urgent to do that now? Your pension won't come up till 2020. But they so want to make sure this thing is inside. I saw one minister telling the next one, well, your business well fixed now, after they voted for this. Your business fixed. And they did this with just their votes. I come back to the fright and fear of what they are going to do with these immigration regulations. What they have done in those regulations is to give the minister the power, the minister, a politician, the power to first give, with the swipe of a pen, a stroke of a pen, he can give what is known as residency status to the Venezuelans. And according to the law, it's a lot of law, you have to read 3 or 5 pieces of law all together, but the conjoint effect of all these pieces of law is that you give the minister the power to sign with his pen to give residency status to the Venezuelans, to give residency status to any alien. And an alien is not a man from out in Mars or in the moon, whatever. Alien means that you're not a Commonwealth citizen, okay? And the Venezuelans are clearly not Commonwealth. So first he can sign for them to become residents, residency status. And when he does that, they can then vote in local government elections. As Pundit will ask you, that right? That cannot be right. It cannot be right. But it doesn't end there. It also gives the minister, the politician of this government, the power after you get residency to give you citizenship status. And when you get that citizenship, when you become a citizen, you can do what then? You can vote in a general election. I am putting the people of Trinidad and Tobago on notice. Trinidad and Tobago, I'm putting you on notice that this wicked, devious PNM government, that is their plan to steal the elections whenever they call, to create residency. Let's take St. Joseph. This is a marginal constituency, yes? In the marginal constituencies, it's just some, what is it? I mean, how many votes we lost by? Can you remember? So we were lost by so many votes in St. Joseph, a marginal. We lost in Maruga Tableland by 500 votes. In the other marginals, in total, we lost by about, if you put all the marginals together, which would have given us the government, about 4,000 to 5,000 votes. But how many Vennies have they registered? How many Vennies will become residents and citizens to vote to thief the elections in Trinidad and Tobago? How many? And I have here a printout of a story from the Newsday. You see, this issue was flagged, but at the time we didn't take it on. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't realize that they had published the immigration regulations to give the minister this power. And this is a Newsday of Sunday, 9th June 2019. a story by a gentleman known as Clint Chantak. And in it, it says, Venezuelan ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Carlos Perez, yesterday, welcomed the government's registration process for Venezuelans in TNT. In an interview on I-95 FM, I-95.5 FM, Perez says, it's a very good initiative. He said the process will give Venezuelans here an opportunity to regularize their status. This is what he further said. The writing was on the wall. For those who had eyes to see, they would see. He said further, Perez said, Venezuelans who are legally registered through this process will have another opportunity to apply for residency or citizenship in Trinidad and Tobago. I will repeat that. Those are the important words. Perez said, Venezuelans who are legally registered through this process will have another opportunity to apply for residency or citizenship in TNT. There it is. There it is. We have to make sure that we come out in our numbers, that we mobilize and make sure Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. And I challenge the minister of everything, because he's the minister, will have to sign for the residency and for the citizenship. I challenge him to show me in law that I am wrong, because I know I am not wrong on this point. So I want no political talk to say it's nonsense. Kamala talking nonsense. I am reading the law, and I have a good brain. I'm a good lawyer too. And I'm telling you what I'm saying is right. I've gone through this issue with our team of lawyers as well. Our young Senator, Sean Sobers, is an immigration specialist in law. He's part of the team, and others, Brian Big here, has been part of the team, and other lawyers. We've gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, and this is the ticking bomb. This is a ticking bomb that is in our midst. And the only way we can handle this is we must jointly mobilize in a massive way, leave nothing, no stone unturned to get this wicked Rowley government out of office. And before I close, there is just one more issue I want to raise. You have this guy there, comes to Parliament and talk about follow the money and follow the wealth, and we must follow Farris and follow the wealth, definitely. Comes to Parliament, they talk all the time about corruption. They talk about integrity in public life and so on. This government is the most corrupt government Trinidad and Tobago has ever had. So, they have spent $223 billion. $1 billion, in less than 4 years. And the only thing they could show is to open a road down in Chaguanas, which was a partnership project. And look, some more of that they'll be trying to come with it. Huh? So we have seen the Sandal scandal. Millions they lost on the Seabridge fiasco. From the fake oil scandal, secret accounts mentioned in a leaked email to a close relative of a man named Rowley. You remember that? From the Smith scandal, the Shamfa scandal, the Roman and the Rumpin scandals, the cost overruns, the Petrotrin corruption cover-up, the Brian Lara Stadium, the millions in Farrisgate, Edmund Dillon and elderly abuse property in New York. Yes? Billions and billions they have spent to enrich themselves. And now, they have failed to account to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You remember there is an integrity commission, and we, as politicians, we have to file a declaration form to the integrity commission. Yes? So we had to file for 2018 about our monies, where we got our money, what income he had or didn't have. But hear this now. We have a situation now. Having spent $220 billion since September 2015, we have this situation now that 14 of the 23 government members of parliament, plus the Speaker of the House of Representatives, refused to file their integrity form. Their names were published in the newspaper in the last couple of days. We see again, 60% of the PNM elected members of the House refused to declare their assets and liabilities at the Integrity Commission for the last financial year. Would you believe in the Senate? Those are the House, huh? Now we have the Senate PNM members. 16 PNM senators. You know how many filed? 2. 14 of the 16 PNM senators failed to file the Integrity Commission forms. They were in the newspapers as well. The question is why? What do they have to hide? That is exactly what that form is about. You have to declare your assets and your income. And if there's anything wrong with that, well, you're in trouble. Why did they fail to file? In total, when you count House and Senate together, 28 out of 39 members of the government refused to file the integrity forms. And this does not include the, the temporary government senators. 70% of the government refused to declare their assets and liabilities as required by the integrity law. Let me share some of those who refused and did not file. Why are they hiding? But you know, always they tell you, a great parliamentarian, I knew him, Ken Valley was his name. When I first came in as a junior, he was there as a senior. He was on the other side. But I remember him standing in Parliament and pointing, you could run, but you cannot hide. You could run, but you cannot hide. Member of Parliament, Honorable Speaker of the House, Bridget Anisette George, did not file her integrity forms. She was supposed to represent good example of accountability. She somehow failed to file her returns in a year just before the election. Adrian Leonce, Laventille East, his family-owned company managed to get state contracts worth millions of dollars, whilst hundreds of small and medium contractors cannot get a red cent from this government. Why did he fail to file his forms? WPC Camille Robinson Regis, Aruka Maloney, in the 2018 financial year, for which she did not report, failed to file for the 2018 financial year, did not file integrity form. She was Minister of Planning and Development. And under her watch, that ministry spent $238.5 million. Why did she not file her integrity forms? In 2019, this WPC spent another $336 million. Why did you not file your forms for 2018? Randall Mitchell, San Fernando East, as the absolutely worst Minister of Tourism in the history of our country. And under the PNM, they have been spectacularly bad. Mitchell, under his ministry, spent $37 million in 2018. And would you believe that although Mr. Mitchell refused to account to the integrity law, the PNM gave him $80 million of your money to spend this year, 2019. Darrell Smith. Well, he didn't file his form, as I can't say why. He refused. But it seems as though he's fallen out of favor. So he didn't get any ministry money just when they took away his ministry. Marlene MacDonald, Port of Spain South. As Minister of Public Administration, she was responsible for spending $930.2 million in 2018, but she has not filed her integrity form. She did not account for her assets, but she's given in this fiscal year another $762 million to be spent in her ministry. Ansel Antoine, Davide O'Mara. Even the PNM recognized that he was not a good minister. They replaced him, but still, he failed to file his integrity forms. What does he have to hide? Cherry Ann Krishna Coburn, Lopino Bonner West. As Minister of Social Development and Family Services, her ministry spent over $4.7 billion, not billion now, billion dollars in 2018. On what was it spent? Our social sector is worse than it's ever been. And she too refused to declare assets to the Integrity Commission. And this year, they gave her $5.1 billion to spend on her ministry. Edmund Dillon, remember him? Point 14, this is a man who refused to account to the nation for a property he first claimed was a gift. And when he was taken to court, he was forced to give back the gift because it was no gift. You remember that? You want to guess why he failed to file his integrity forms for 2018? He was Minister of National Security in that same year, and he spent $3 billion in 2018 in that ministry. Again, he got a new ministry, and in this fiscal year, $1.5 billion in the new Ministry of Housing. Esmond Ford Tunapuna failed to file his declaration in integrity law. He is a deputy speaker. A man who, like the speaker, is expected to set the example, and therefore, why did he fail to file his form? Maxi Coffey, La Hoqueta Talparo. He was for most of 2018 the substantive Minister of Public Admin, and in his absence, as an absentee minister, his ministry was responsible for spending $930 million in 2018. 1 year after, he cannot fulfill the requirements of the integrity form. They spent millions on him for which the government did not account. The PNM placed him as a PALSEC in public admin to spend $762 million in the current financial year. Dr. Diane Gadsby Dolly, this is the Minister of Community Development. She spent $262.5 million in her ministry in 2018, but did not fill out her form declaring assets. If she cannot account for her own spending, how will she account for that in her ministry? Anthony Garcia, Arima. Should I continue with this? You want to know who they are? Anthony Garcia Arima. As Minister of Education, he spent over $5 billion in 2018, the year he failed to file his declaration of assets. You know something? Think of that, $5.1 billion, and schools all over the country in chaos cannot be completed. I'll show you a school we built. This is one of the 106 schools that was built under my watch. Look at the screen. Yvonne, can we? When you were walking in, you would have seen the plaque on the school, on this compound. That school was built under my watch. There's a plaque on the screen. Can you shrink it a little, Kevin? I don't know if it's legible. Can you all see it? In 2012, together with Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, we opened the school. So here we are, $5 billion, and our schools all over the nation in trouble. Shamfa Kujo, Tobago West, also did not file. She presided over the expenditure of $260.4 million in 2018. This is the same year that she failed to file her declaration to the integrity forms. Fitzgerald Hines, the original dreadlocks. John in the house. Fitzgerald Hines. He sits in the Ministry of the Attorney General and has assisted in spending more than $317 million in the 2018 financial year, but he also failed to file an integrity form. Some senators, Clarence Rambarat, Minister of Agriculture, he was rejected by the population, but now he's Minister of Agriculture, and as we heard tonight, farmers suffering in the country. Under his watch, $709 million, your taxpayers' dollars spent in 2018. Clarence Rambarat did not file his declaration form. Franklin Khan, Minister of Energy, as Minister of Housing, first, he spent over $88.1 million of your money in 2018 in that ministry, but he did not complete his integrity, did not file his integrity form. Paula Gopi Schoon, Minister of Trade, spent $89.6 million in 2018 with nothing to show for it, failed to file her integrity forms. Yes, and we have no money. Yeah, very good point. They say we have no money, but when you add it up, it's $223 billion they've spent in total. $223 billion. So the only time they have no money is when it's for you and to help you. When it's to help the friends and the family and the financiers and Farris, all the money is there. Jennifer Baptiste Primus, Minister of Labor, failed to file a form, spent more than $345 million in labor in that ministry, and nothing to show for it, failed to file integrity forms. Dennis Moses, Minister of Foreign Affairs, this colossal failure of a Minister of Foreign Affairs did not file his forms, but in his ministry spent $239 million last year. Rohan Sinanan, the Minister of Nothing Works, a secret landowner, benefited in millions upon millions from the government's purse, did not file his declaration. He spent $1.9 billion in the Ministry of Works with nothing to show for it. That includes money spent on infrastructure, on lands that he owns. Your taxpayer dollars spent in there right now. And all the pockets that fund him failed to file. Qasim Hussain, Minister of Rural Development, Local Government. He presided over the spending of over $2 billion in his ministry. He failed to file integrity forms. Robert LeHunt, Minister of Public Utilities, spent $2.919 billion. $2.9 billion in the ministry, and we can't get water in our taps. Did not file integrity. Alison West did not file integrity. Nigel De Freitas, Vice President of the Senate, did not file. Dr. Lester Henry, Permanent Secretary, did not file. Ayana Lewis, a temporary senator, did not file. Avinash Singh, Parliamentary Secretary, did not file. Foster Cummins, General Secretary of the PNM, did not file. Alicia Romano, temporary senator, and Dale Young, temporary senator, Ronald Huggins, temporary senator, Augustus Thomas. This PNM government refuses to account to the Integrity Commission for the money and their assets. We know we are not seeing it, where the money going. We haven't seen where it's going in terms of the accounting. Even hardcore PNM supporters acknowledge that this government is only about privileged few, the friends and the family and so on. So as we come to close of this meeting, I want to tell you that yesterday we had part one of our constituency executive elections, and thousands came out. It tells me something. There were so many people vying to get a position. The elections were so heavily contested. Why? Because people wanted to be part of the process and to be on the executives of those constituencies. But I want to tell you there is room at the UNC table for every single one. Every single one. And those teams who have been elected in their constituency and your opponents in your constituency who ran against you, I ask you to join hands and let us continue to be a united party to remove this wicked government. The UNC has a plan. We have a national economic transformation plan to get Trinidad and Tobago working again. I have shared with you, this is a draft plan. We'll keep sharing parts of it with you. Our national economic transformation plan to get Trinidad and Tobago working again, to create more jobs, to bring back the economy, again, for more jobs, because that's what everybody wants, you know. Everybody wants a decent paid job. And you know, 2010 to 2015, we created over 50,000 jobs. We did it once, and we can do it again. We have talked about this corridor. We have talked about industries to be done along this corridor to get the corridor working again, this East-West corridor. Get back to the days when there were manufacturing efforts being done and there were jobs for all of you. We must go back to those days. I mentioned to you many of those plans, the food processing, packaging, agri-produce from south and east, manufacture of basic medical supplies, saline, needles, bandages, latex, gongs, etc. Manufacture of medical furniture. We always need the beds and the trolleys and the chairs. Manufacture of office and school furniture. Manufacture of home furniture. All these manufacturing businesses can be done. They can be done with minimum input of money. But you know what they will do? We can get you jobs and we can get Trinidad and Tobago working again. So, if you see me as a wolf, I promise you I am the good wolf. And I will be the wolf who will fight for you, who will cry for you. And if it needs come, I will die for you. Because everything I do it for you. Everything I do. I have always told you, half of me belongs to you. The other half I give to you all. And therefore all of me belongs to you. You will have other leaders. You will have other leaders. You have had other leaders. And you will have other leaders in future. But I know you will never, ever find a leader who loves you as much as I do. May God bless you. May God keep you. And may God bless Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
Bring down the power.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Bring down the power.
we have a presentation from the Aranjuez United Farmers Association, a gift to the leader of the opposition.
Bring down the power. Love to heal a nation is the greatest power.
A special gift from the Aranjuez United Farmers Association, presented by Pundit Satyanand Maharaj to the leader of the opposition, Kamla Prasad Bisesa.